just going on YouTube. This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the debut album by rock band Cobra Starship. Basically, this project is called While the City Sleeps, We Rule the Streets, and it came out in the fall of 2006. So the thing about this particular project is just the fact that this is kind of a primer project for like 2010s EDM that was pretty universal throughout the early 2010s, just like that. Some of those type folks, Pitbull, David Guetta, Rihanna, some of those type folks, and other folks like, Blood on the Dance Floor was kind of doing this sort of stuff, and like other ones, Carol I think is full blown, but like Attack, and some of those type of folks, there's tons of folks, the Medic Droid, just a bunch of folks that really kind of particularly did that sort of style, but Cobra Starship was one of the initial type ones. Pretty trendy type album here, at least for the times of what particularly happened for a good 6 or 7 years out as far as those pitches will kind of particularly get to. So this one, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a classic album here, just be able to get that pitch. Pete Wentz definitely had a pretty good concept for signing these folks as far as that particular affluence kind of happened. It's really a large disappointment that Cobra Starship doesn't have any more music past these 4 albums that they did. This is the last one I have to review here to kind of get towards it. Now they did drop a 2021 EP, which I reviewed back in September. It's a pretty good pitch, kind of get that. But this is the concept here of just the full catalog of their albums, and this is, like I was saying, a virtual classic here. Just did a lot. Now I do like albums by Cobra Starship like Hot Mess and some of the other ones like Nightshades and Viva La Cobra, some of those type of ones. But this has a very rough draft type feel, but it just like originally when I reviewed Viva La Cobra, which I'm starting to not remember as much, but when I reviewed that particular album, it kind of felt fleshed out within a certain sense. Just kind of felt like alternative bar hopping pitches like that, just trying to do the sound that they would do in 2009 and 2011. But this particular album just kind of relishes in the fact that like it's more low key, just kind of alternative type feel, and just the aspect of having like the edginess behind it. Just with that, I mean, I do feel like some of the songs on this particular album do have a lot of hookiness and this overall affability about it, but it just is obviously some of the hit songs like You Make Me Feel and like the hit song that hit the top 10 on the Hot Mess album from 2009. It's just kind of the aspect behind some of these that this is just a lot more low-key, but I like the concept. This is just them when they're hungrier, and it just has a good aspect because they do actually have like some good hooks on here, and this pretty much like every album has like its hittiness. This is more of like an emo album more so than Hot Mess or Nightshades, I just would have to say, which is an interesting type pitch. It has a little bit more of similarities to Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, some of those type folks. It's more kind of mid-2000s emo type rock as far as that particularly would kind of go. Look after it, but it does have that dance rock type feel. It's a very social album. I look after. I definitely am going to have to say that this social score is going to get a 10 out of 10 just within the pitch. They did get to the 3rd single, and despite the fact that it seemed like these songs didn't chart, this has a lot of affability behind it. So it's a very jazzy type factor. Good, just pretty much this whole album damn near just plays within a dance type setting and restaurant type sense as well. Just some good social outs. This kind of the sort of stuff that Maroon 5 would kind of do, just with a little bit more dance rock and disco type feel and electro pop towards it. I can't think of a ton of electro pop type projects that really came out around the approximate time of like 2005, 2006. This is kind of the concept that, you know, there were traces of like Hollywood Undead doing some of this, Blood on the Dance Floor kind of doing this, the Millionaires kind of doing this, but these folks, Cobra Starship, were kind of some ones that did a little bit beforehand. Now Fall Out Boy would occasionally do some of this type of stuff, but they were more punk rock. But I look after that, yeah, this is a pretty, just overall, I would say it's iconic in like an alternative type sense. Definitely a Hot Topic classic just within the pitch behind it. I would definitely feel like in Spirit Halloween, some of those type folks just looking after it. But yeah, just did a lot of things. This is a low-key, just affable type one, and this one that's kind of underappreciated. I'm surprised. It says that this album sold more than 69,000 copies, which is a pretty good pitch, but I do feel like it probably should at least went gold, something like that, especially all these years later, just within the aspect of just being able to say, I mean, I feel like this is kind of more of like a cult classic type one, kind of when you think of like certain music or things like that that just has like that relative appeal. I'm trying to think of one that I could think of, you know, like Blood on the Dance Floor is epic, one of those type of ones that just has like its relative internet popularity, but just within the sense of this is kind of blurs the lines between being like a quality kind of alternative album and like the concept of being like a good internet rap album, and this overall just like I was saying, a Hot Topic type classic, some of those type fares, but I look after it. So yeah, I basically recommend every song on this particular 11 song album minus the very first song you hear, which is Being from Jersey Means Never Having to Say You're Sorry, which this one is, to get that one out of the way, is just kind of like it's an a cappella type song on here with a little bit of acousticness at the end, but it just wasn't that catchy as far as the appeal as to how it kind of particularly happened. So that was like the only true song I didn't recommend. But yeah, this album's going to get a 10 out of 10, so we'll go ahead and talk about the single. singles here really tear into this. So I'd say the first single is Snakes on a Plane, Bring It. Now this is a real nice one. Might have been on the Snakes on a Plane soundtrack. I want to say that it probably was, considering the fact that it has the same name as that particular movie that came out around that particular time. But I look after this like a razzly kind of bar hopping and dance venue, fun to kind of get here. Some nice pep and low key kind of flash about this song. I would definitely have to say it's a pretty dope one. This one's just the initial type one. It's like a good kind of buzz song. I definitely feel like the later singles are just a lot better. They just have a lot more noise. And the concept behind it is the fact that Cobra Starship basically stays on the dance floor. They don't have any ballads or post-grunge S-type, makeshift type songs kind of get here. I mean, they do have some Traverse. This is a mild kind of amount of makeshift on here, but most of this is just kind of monks like going to step out for the night and just the commerce of just Friday night and Saturday night and Thursday night type appeal. I just would look after it. This is just like a very vanilla song for Cobra Starship as far as one of their initial hitters, but it works pretty well. It's just a real nice one that I'd say the craziness factor on this particular song is probably like a 7.5 or a mild 8 out of 10 as far as those pitches, but it is an excellent song. It's definitely one I highly recommend. So it's just the pitch, but it's just in terms of craziness. It's the vanilla kind of initial type one to kind of get for like some radio appeal. The Church of Hot Addiction's a little bit crazier. Now this one's a pretty pounding type one. This takes it to like a pounding kind of hard rock bar noise, kind of get something like Hard Rock Cafe, Motorcycle Bar, some of those type pitches, just more turn up, heavier bruiser like turn up as far as those pitches gonna happen. Just more gnarled riffs. It's like some gnarled kind of crunk energy. I would definitely feel like, and this is just festive and infectious, I would definitely have to say. Just real nice one. Really like the vibes of this particular song. So I just like the fact that the crazy factor gets turned up even further as far as those pitches gonna happen, because a lot of times some rock bands will kind of switch up the tone and kind of go for something a little bit more more makeshift or like ballad-esque as far as those pitches can happen. But I like the fact that the energy just ramps up as far as that particular goes. But this is a nice one. Just look within the appeal behind it. They have similarities to Fall Out Boy with their lengthy kind of song titles and like the emo pitch. That's a good concept here. But then the third single is Send My Love to the Dance Floor, I'll See You in Hell. Pretty nice one. Also within the parentheses, Hey Mr. DJ, it's a real affable type one. This is probably one of the best songs on the album. Despite the fact that I'm giving this album a 10, this is one of the most immediate ones to go for. This probably has like the most commercial appeal. I'd say the two most commercial would probably be Snakes on a Plane, Bring It, and then Send My Love to the Dance Floor. I'd say with Send My Love to the Dance Floor probably being the largest. But the thing about it is this is a pretty relatively low-key type album. I just look after the pitch. They did have like some relative radio grabs as far as those pitches can happen. And this was kind of ignored just because probably this was their initial kind of come up as far as that particular one. But it definitely made the noise. It's like a glitzy and kind of glaring early EDM rough draft of a song kind of get here. This feels like taste of what you would get from them when they were more established, like in the early 2010s and late 2000s. It's like a catchy kind of dance bop, I definitely have to say. Very hooky. I would definitely feel like in a pretty good vibe. So yeah, they have some pretty good hooks on here. I just would have to say they're very similar to Fall Out Boy with like that emo type pitch. It's a little bit punk-esque, but not quite as full blown. It's a little bit more dance and electro pop, but it does have like the alternative kind of sheen about it. Just being able to say that it's just kind of a blend. It's just interesting that they kind of like, once again, I feel like they kind of remind me of like kind of an in-between of like Blood on the Dance Floor is kind of electro pop with like the aspect of like the punk kind of tint of like Fall Out Boy. I'd have to say in particular, it's an excellent type concept, kind of get that. If you like songs by Fall Out Boy, like I Don't Care, even though that song came out in 2008, it's just kind of that relative dance snap of some of those type ones. Just Fall Out Boy just immersed more oftenly in the dance floor, so that's a good pitch. So like I was saying, the only song I don't recommend is just the first song, and I already talked about why for that. But yeah, just to get to some of these on here, a real romantic type song is The Kids Are All Fucked Up. Real romantic type song is The Kids Are All Fucked Up. This is a nice one. It's like a romantic kind of tunnel of love, like dance, slow jam, I'd have to say here. Good night breeze to kind of get, and it's a pretty kinetic type one. So just a little bit more, this kind of more sultry type one, just with an affluence behind it, just necessary for some of these slow jams. There's another one that's kind of like this one, which is You Can't Be Missed If You Never Go Away. Both these songs have a little bit more slow jam dance type vibes just in mind. This works for like the pitch of what they are. It's a good affluence behind it, and we'll just go ahead and talk about You Can't Be Missed If You Never Go Away as well. It's like a woozy and kind of bleary dance night, I would have to say. Just some vanilla kind of wind down. This is some vanilla kind of wind down. This would be one of the ones to kind of listen to if you've been at the dance club all night. This would probably be one to listen to between like 2:30 to about 4:35 in the morning as far as those pitches going to happen. It's time to wrap things up, some of those type pitches. It's a pretty social song to kind of get here, but the energy is clearly more bewildered than the rest of this album compared to songs like Send My Love to the Dance Floor and Snakes on a Plane and The Church of Hot Addiction, some of those type ones I'd have to say. But yeah, I'd say It's Warmer in the Basement's a nice one as well. There are some kind of date night type songs kind of get on here within the sense. It's a real nice one to get. It's like a jazzy and kinetic kind of evening step step out, I would have to say. Goes with the ballad of Big Papa and Diamond Girl. I would definitely feel like it's a pretty hyped up type song. I think there's something in the air. My voice is kind of shaky right now. I don't know the pitch behind it, but I look after it. But yeah, It's Warmer in the Basement. This has a lot of good, just date after. Yeah, It's Warmer in the Basement. This has like a jazzy kind of date evening type feel. There's something, one of those type songs that Panic at the Disco would do real well. This like Brendan Urie, some of those type. This really feels like a Brendan Urie type song. Some of that type pitch, one of those type fares. It reminds me of like a little bit of Fall Out Boy, just this restaurant type music pitches like that, just kind of jazzy city hopping, some of that type fare, just within the aspect, just like some good hop and bop. And I'd say another song like that would be the Ballad of Big Papa and Diamond Girl. It's a good pitch, like I was saying. It's like a nice date evening type tune. This reminds me of Panic at the Disco, definitely. And this is a good song to get wings to and gel to a bit, just within those pitches. So some good concept just for some step out. Easy kind of going restaurant type music. Easy kind of going restaurant type music, just within the fare behind it. Simple kind of food getting. Just simple kind of 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock p.m. So not all this album is packed with dance type gems, but it definitely has a socialness of just kind of saying, we'll go get lunch, or we'll go get lunch, dinner, and then head to the dance club as far as those pitches can happen. It's kind of a combo night as far as that would kind of happen. It's Amateur Night at the Apollo Creed's a nice one, as well as like a jazzy kind of house cleaning and rumination type song to kind of get here. It's just kind of a preoccupied kind of night primer. The song is just a preoccupied kind of night primer to kind of get. So look after it. It's just kind of the concept of this one. If you do have some last minute stuff to kind of take care of before stepping out, it's just kind of the pitch, the riffage on here. And that's the thing, this band work on here is really excellent. They don't really have any slag riffs on here or anything poor, just within the execution of what the band did, with the exception. It's the same thing with the melodies, with the exception of the very first song being from Jersey. But I look after it like It's Amateur Night is kind of a more low-key type one, but I just look after it as just kind of more around the house, just finishing up last-minute tasks, some of that type of, just some rumination just before going out to step out. And then I would say Pop Punk is So 2005 is another one that kind of has some of that primer type feel. It's like a dope evening primer for step out. I would definitely feel like this kind of an end of work shift kind of excitement, just a good one to smoke a bit to, I'd have to say. It's kind of the concept. This is like some car traverse as far as the pitch of just like it being 5:30, something like that, just getting ready to step out and get ready to get crunk a little bit, but just kind of the concept of just getting home, changing clothes, some of that type fare, getting some grub, some of that type pitch, just the excitement of just like, okay, work's over, I'm excited, I'm primed up, pepped up as far as those pitches gonna happen, getting ready to call up the homies or some chicas just within the pitch and getting ready to step out for a bit. Just kind of concept. Trying to think of other songs I haven't talked about here. Like, I would say Keep It Simple is a quality one, as well as like a basic kind of alternative venue heater. I would definitely feel like this kind of a mid-pace kind of dance gem, definitely. Trailblazer kind of electro-pop, I would definitely feel like for like the mid-2000s, definitely a good look for 2006, and this song just overall has a nice feel. So this is a little bit more of a breezy type one, just some kind of out and about, just more outdoor restaurant type fare, just kind of in the breeze as far as just getting wings, some of that typeness, just be all to have. Simple kind of get lobster, get like a hamburger, something like that, and just kind of have the pitch behind it as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just like it's kind of simple, kind of social, out and about. This kind of, I mean, I definitely feel like it is like an alternative venue, just a good concept, places where you would hear Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Green Day, some of those type of folks in their more jazzier type sense with a little bit more social bite about it. It's a good concept, but it doesn't have the craziness of the singles. I feel like the singles are probably the craziest type moment on here, but it definitely has some of that social aspect behind it. But this whole album is just basically a trip of getting ready to step out for the night, I would have to say. It's a good pitch behind it. In one way or the other, it has that fashion, just like some outing weekend type fare, so it's a good concept. But yeah, this album gets a 10 out of 10. This would have to say excellent type pitch here, excellent type pitch here. The social score is definitely going to get a 10 out of 10. Just the concept behind these songs, they're romantic kind of date evening songs. You have the songs that are kind of primers for getting ready to step out of bed, just kind of the concept of getting crunk or getting ready to, just finishing up the work shift, some of those type fares of just getting ready to step out and have some good times. You know, the primers of some songs where you're getting ready to step out and have some good times. I would have to say the singles are very electric and energizing just within the pitch. It's definitely like some punk type classics in like an electro pop type sense. There's overall a lot of social fury, I'd have to say. Just the dance rock energy. This is very original for the times. There weren't terribly many folks doing this prior to about the fall of 2006. This was an iconic kind of trailblazer, hot topic classic, alternative classic that did a lot for getting ready to advance like the EDM sound and more electro pop in the same fashion just within that junction. So it just did a lot for what it did. It's very trendy type one, very powerful, this strengthy just within the pitch of what it did for us. That's a good concept. So in terms of future, the unfortunate thing is Cobra Starship has not put out a project since 2011, minus like the 2021 EP that they did that really only had 2 songs on there. Now, they were originally going to put out an album in 2014 or 2015, but it fell apart. I'm not sure if those songs that they collectively made around that time will ever be released. It'd be a good concept if they were, but that's basically virtually about it. So there is a Cobra Starship playlist that you can check out with all 5 of the projects that I've reviewed. So I just would have to say within that relative pitch is some excellent type fares. That's the basic concept about Cobra Starship. Hopefully we get some more projects, but yeah, just check out the Cobra Starship playlist to see all these.